BSP, our bank, our people.
Hello, welcome to TVWAN News. I'm Mary Silla Kelleton. In this edition, Rosso says stop selling land, voter IEC materials out, and Puk play warm-up games. Landowners should not be selling their land. Lay MP and Minister for Lands, John Rosso, said instead they should work in partnership with the Lands Ministry to convert vacant land into bankable land leases.
According to the National Research Institute, bankable customary land leases can provide landowners with the opportunity to benefit from the use of their land while retaining ownership of the land. Instead of selling off their birthright, landowners can secure their children's future by going into partnership with the Lands Ministry to develop their land. Lay MP and Minister for Lands John Rosso said customary landowners should follow the example set by the Kurius of Roku Village, who, with their partner developers, are working to develop a satellite township that will include the provision of affordable housing.
A lot of people blame the Lands Ministry and say that because of people selling their land, they blame us. But always realize, traditional customary land belongs to the owners, the traditional owners. So if they want the development happen, come and talk to the Lands Ministry through my office. And it's fortunate that I'm also the member for Lay, so they have access to me. And then we can help them to try to convert land that is currently vacant and convert it into bankable titles.
The NRI, in Volume 14 of its Spotlight paper, outlined that the benefits of making customary land leases bankable include promoting business and investment. It will be a steady source of income for landowners. It protects customary land from being sold outright, and it promotes the orderly development of land. This is why the Lands Minister is encouraging landowners to secure the future.
I would strongly advise against selling the land for 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 kina. They lose ownership rights completely. By doing what we did, the pathway that we did at Tuhava with the Roku villages, creates that pathway that we can do to ensure that the landowners continue owning the land and be a partner in the development for their own land.
Salome Vincent, TV1 News.
Global inflation has been increasing due to COVID-19 pandemic, which induced supply and demand mismatches associated with supply chain disruptions and higher commodity prices. Bank of Papua New Guinea Acting Governor Benny Popoitai noted that whilst there have been improvements in the domestic supply chain, inflation remains a concern, especially with the rise of Delta variant cases.
The COVID-19 pandemic has really impacted the rate of inflation globally. At the same time, some major economies continue to provide fiscal support to sustain recovery efforts, while the emerging market and developing economies have reduced fiscal support as a direct result of rising public debt levels. Moreover, some central banks have opted to raise policy rates to curb the threat of rising inflation. Bank of PNG Acting Governor Benny Popoitai noted that whilst there have been improvement in the domestic supply chain, inflation remains a concern, especially with the rise of Delta variant cases and now the emergence of the new Omicron variant across the globe and its spillover effects into domestic prices. Popoitai cautioned that the increase in inflation reflected higher imported inflation, mainly driven by high international oil prices as well as domestic supply chain disruptions. He warned that it was imperative to remain vigilant on the effect of the pandemic on the global and domestic supply chains and its impact on domestic inflation. Freddie Moe, TVWAN News.
The smallholder oil palm industry is set to take off in the Makam Valley of Morbe Province following discussions between Oil Palm Industry Corporation, the Morbe provincial government, and landowners. The impacted landowners in Makam said they have been waiting for more than a decade for oil palm to take off in the valley.
Oil Palm Industry Corporation General Secretary Captain Pupita has met with the Morobe Provincial Administrator and the landowners of Makam to grow oil palm. The meeting took place at Mampin Village in the Umi Adzera LLZ on Sunday, February 13, 2022. The meeting is also in line with the vision of Marape-led government to economically empower people in rural areas of the country. The Makam villagers have been waiting for more than 10 years for smallholder oil palm to take off in the valley, following the launching by former Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. During this time, oil palm giant New Britain Palm Oil Limited has took up a sizable chunk of land in the valley to grow oil palm, while the people remain as spectators.
Ini stablo potential area. Lo mi like oil palm mas kam lo Makam. Because all kita something and starting is like cost lo developing oil palm lo Makam and cheap lo.
And two officers to be based at Mujing Government Station to get the industry up and running. OPIC, with the full support from the customary landowners, anticipates to set up a 2,000-hectare nursery project in the Makam Plains. The nursery will cost a total of 6.15 million kina and has the potential to raise 240,000 palm trees.
So, no kan salim kara. Likely way people away by you mean by still working. I mean a multi-million, gas field, gold mine by you mean spending millions and millions of money to go working. 100,000, 500,000, 1 million. You mean start want them government.
Following the meeting, the landowner leaders accompanied Pupita and Morobe Provincial Administrator Bat Ipambons to visit the proposed site of the OPIC office at Mujing, nursery and accommodation sites at Umi, and a successful village oil palm project at Dabwa, bordering Medang and Eastern Islands Province. Dabwa will be the model on which to build the Makam smallholder oil palm industry. Freddie Moe, TVWAN News.
Meantime, Pupita said based on current market prices, this project has the potential to generate more than 20 million kina through the sale of fresh fruit per year. In terms of export earnings, the project has the potential to bring in approximately 40 million kina into the country.
Jimmy walking past them, Nambian Jimmy go ask him. So now me come to him, lo buy him by walking off. Laren. You want to map legal money stuff, you try and walk him, and you go on. Beyond, you may ask him what big line blow you come. Or by the blade him, you down. Prime Minister blow you, I'm like him 3 man walk, agriculture work. And by him, Governor blow you, by Airbnb, you mean a Sabbath.
This is TV1 News. Stay tuned for more after the break. Welcome back. Caritas PNG today launched its electoral education and awareness program for the 2022 National General Elections at the Catholic Bishops' Conference Hall in NCD. They formally announced the information education and communication material which were printed for the general public but targeting mainly the youths, women, especially those in the rural areas, to prepare them for a free and fair elections 2022 without fear or favor.
Jason Seward, Director of Migration and Refugees, said many young people will be reaching the eligible age by the time polling comes around. That's why they need to receive the message to prepare themselves before the election comes around.
We're appealing also to the youths to exercise that right to vote with some responsibility, which means to vote not because you know someone because of some personal interest or some personal connections, but to vote with your clear conscience.
Director for Caritas PNG, Mavis Tito, said that issue of writs is only 72 days away from February 15th, and she thanked the Marape-led government through the PNG Electoral Commission for ensuring resources and funding are provided for this very critical democratic process in the country.
A poster specifically addressing the youth. We encourage all the youth 18 and over to make sure they are on the voter roll and make sure that they participate in the election.
Caritas PNG prepared its provincial coordinators with a training earlier this year, and these IEC materials will be used as the tools to continue educating the people to vote for the right candidates. The IEC materials were printed in English, Tokpisin and Motu. They also have a jingle for radio and a TV commercial to be released soon. There are posters with specific messages targeting women and youth and a theme poster showing the cause and effect of good and bad voting, an election guide booklet and a jingle. Frida Kana, TVWAN News.
Laloki Secondary School, a government-run boarding school located just 15 miles outside Port Moresby in the Central Province, today officiated a newly constructed double classroom. The construction of the building was funded through the Kairukuhiri District Services Improvement Project Fund. A further commitment of 50,000 kina was also announced at the classroom opening. Member for Kairukuhiri and Vice Minister for Finance Peter Iso-Aimo today officiated at the opening of a 4-in-1 double classroom at the Laloki Secondary School in the presence of students, staff and the school board. The construction of the classroom was funded through the District Services Improvement Project Fund.
You were encouraged to study very hard. That's why your parents sent you here. In 20 years' time, in 30 years' time, we want some of you to be ambassadors for Laloki Secondary School.
Theodis Stationery Limited, by way of giving back to communities where their business activities are conducted, also stepped up to support the school by equipping the newly constructed classroom with essential furniture. Ryan Pinney, the company's corporate development manager, was present at the event. He spoke on the unique contributions one can make to society using skills, talent and acquired knowledge.
Education being a pillar of what we do at Theodist, it's an important part of our program. We consider this as a donation, as giving back to our community, but more importantly is we're investing in education, we're investing in educating you to be better people in our communities.
A commitment of 50,000 kina was also announced at the classroom opening today. The funds will go towards the school that only last year accommodated for over 1,000 students from grades 9 through to 12. This year, the school aims to enroll a little over 800 students. The Kairukuhiri MP expressed that continuous support towards providing an environment for quality education is essential. The students were encouraged to look after the new facility and classroom equipment. A 3-man Supreme Court bench has dismissed an application by former Defence Force Commander Gilbert Toropo for incompetency. The decision made by Justice George Manuhu, Justice Colin McKyle, and Justice Eric Carrico read that the ruling was based on the competency of the application.
On January 14, 2022, former Defence Force Commander Gilbert Toropo, through his lawyer, Kopunia Lawyers, applied to a single judge of the Supreme Court to set aside orders of January 5, 2022. The orders were to stay judicial review proceedings. The matter went before Justice Derek Atson, where Toropo argued to have the matter before a full Supreme Court bench pursuant to Order 11, Rules 25 and 26 of the Supreme Court rules. The 3-man Supreme Court judges, however, in their decision handed down on Monday, 14th February, said that the law does not permit an appeal from one Supreme Court to another. The bench said regardless of however the Supreme Court is constituted, there is no power in the Supreme Court to review the decision of another Supreme Court. Meanwhile, the Office of the Solicitor General, representing the Attorney General, Dr. Eric Kwa, and the National Executive Council will now proceed with filing an appeal to dismiss the National Court decision on judicial review proceedings filed by Toropo. Major General Magoina will continue to perform his duties as the commander of the PNG Defence Force. Solicitor General Tauvasa Tanuvasa and Kevin Kiponge are representing the Attorney General and NEC in this matter. Jumaima Sugbat, TV1 News.
TV1 News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. 2021 Digital Cup defending champions Lace Next Tigers have started the process of finalizing their playing squad for the upcoming season 2022. New head coach Oscar Tonga said from their initial 60-man squad, they are now left with 45. Tonga said the selection process will continue with 2 more trial matches planned for the coming weeks before they settle on a final 30-man squad. Winning back-to-back titles is not easy, but from their short history, the Tigers have done it back-to-back in 2016 and 17 under original mentor Stanley Teppen. It is a big challenge for the new coach, with half of their 2021 Grand Final winning team snatched up by the PNG Hunters. Tonga said they are now looking to beef up their stock in preparation for their title defense. Tigers have maintained their playing roster from last year. New inclusions are former Hunter and Dabari Adam Korave, Tommy Moide, and Roy Ellison from the Hela Wigmen, Emil Benjamin Gurias, and Micah Tom and Joe Ank from the Wagi Tume. The current PNG Pukpuk Sevens training squad had its first warm-up games on Saturday in the Capital Rugby Pre-Season Sevens tournament. The team was assembled 4 weeks ago. Head coach Ian Leclerc said it was an ideal opportunity for the boys to play together for the first time and test out the combinations in real game situations.
While there's a good mix of current and potential future pukpuks in camp right now, communication and team bonding was important for the team. So far, the boys are in high spirits and are gelling well. Training has been intense over the past 4 weeks, covering all different aspects of the game while focusing on fitness and getting their mindset right. Due to the pandemic restrictions, most of the boys haven't been involved in any regular running competition before coming into camp. Coach Leclerc said while the attacking flair comes naturally, there's a number of defensive techniques, positional plays and set pieces that they must get right first.
Basically, we've identified our weakness areas, which is in the tackling department, our defensive alignment, and our ability to regain possession through our kickoff. So those were the main focus areas during the camp.
On Saturday, the squad was given an opportunity to play together in a number of warm-up matches against teams in the Capital Rugby Union Pre-Season Sevens competition.
So today was an opportunity for us to see them play actually. So they struggled, but they picked up in the second game. So I'm hoping that they can build on from there and get better as we go along, get the combinations working.
Coach Leclerc said, though the boys struggled to get through the games, it's work in progress and will get better with more competitions. Leclerc said ideally they would love to play more high-level competitions in coming weeks before they can announce the final squad at the end of February or early March in preparation for the qualifiers in Australia this April. Terry Longwood, TV1 Sports.
President for PNG Olympic Committee and PNG Weightlifting Federation, Sir John Dawanikura, has stated that athletes need to qualify if they're to attend the Mini Pacific Games in Northern Marianas. This includes PNG's elite athletes.
Some of the country's biggest names in weightlifting, Dika Toa, Stephen Curry and Moria Baru, are preparing for the Mini Pacific Games, but they must qualify in order to attend the event in Northern Marianas.
We give them the much required lead-up competitions. If opportunities presented to us, our first option is to send them down to Polkofa to give them that opportunity to train with the international coach.
Sir John added that subject to border control and regulations on visa requirements, all weightlifters, if not given the green light to train in Australia, will be sent to the National Training Institute in Goroka.
All of our athletes have to qualify and go through the justification process, which will be in the first or second week of March.
He said one of the main purpose of sending athletes overseas prior to events is to train and attend trial competitions. Sir John added that sending athletes overseas keeps them focused on their goal without any external influence. Godwin Eki, TV1 Sports.
Boroko Amateur Swimming Club has recommenced its swimming activities at the Tarama Aquatic Centre after months of not being able to use the facility. First to start their training session were the Junior Dolphins. They kicked off the year with their pool sessions on Monday, followed by silver and gold category swimmers and the Aqua Kiddies program. Those involved are members of the Boroko Amateur Swimming Club are advised that they can now return to the pool. Parents of children that are part of the swimming program are also advised to now bring their children to after-school swimming programs and training. CEO for PNG Sports Foundation, Albert Veratau, says sport has always been a pillar of hope for many young Papua New Guineans who are passionate about sports. He said sports has, in the beginning, changed the mindset of a lot of young people and their lives. For others, they have pursued a career in sports.
Sport in this country is the reason why we exist. And the reason why we wake up every morning to make sure that a lot of our kids on the streets, a lot of our kids coming out of school, a lot of our kids that have already come out of school continue to play sport as a pathway, as a career, and also minimize the law and order situation in the country. And SB once again has been a tower of strength and a pillar of strength for this country. And for every sportsman and woman, there is not one sportsman and woman that has not been touched by SB Brewery. In every capacity, whether it's rugby league or whether it's the South Pacific Games, they've been there.
And that ends the news tonight. Remember to apply the following simple measures to prevent transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water. Cough or sneeze into your elbow, and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance. Thanks for your company. Bye for now.
The TVWAN News was proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.